talking about the importance of roadmaps, and that came up several times in our meeting. I think you guys would all say, yeah, we get the vision, it's there, help me get there. Was that a takeaway you had walking out of the meeting? Like, you're buying it, but we need to get there.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great vision, and now it's about executing. It's about really internalizing that for each one of our own companies, and what does that vision mean, and what does, there were some very definitive statements today at the keynote. Success factors is our HCM moving forward for S4. Well, I'm an HCM on-premise, so how does that impact me as I look to move to S4? We're moving away from WM to EWM, so it was good to hear the definitive statements.
Right.
Now the hard work comes in, digesting that as an individual customer of SAP, and how do I make that real?
Since you're so close, Bill, I know you're the lessons learned guy. Since you're so close, what are some lessons learned that you could share with maybe someone watching that could be applied either to another government organization or even to maybe a private organization even?
Sure, over 2 years there are probably several hundred, but here are three. Okay. The first one is to anticipate there's going to be misunderstanding between you, the customer, and the cloud service vendor. A couple reasons for that. Number one, it's not unreasonable for large broker organizations to have both a business development proposal team, if you will, and a service delivery team. They're separate organizations. They may not talk. They may not even know each other. And so service delivery may go into the engagement with less than complete understanding of what's been committed to. The second thing is that the cloud broker and the cloud service provider have their contract. The broker and the government or the customer have their contract, and sometimes the two contracts don't match. And so cloud service provider sometimes is surprised at what has been committed to, and which they didn't expect. There's one. A second one, I think, is to anticipate that the security requirements and information assurance satisfaction are going to take a lot of time and attention.
Right.
In our case, any government entity, the security requirements are very exacting and voluminous. It is a huge discipline. And being able to meet all of those takes a lot of time and effort. Don't underestimate that. The third one is to build in a way to gracefully exit if it turns out that the cloud environment doesn't meet your needs. In our case, as Martin mentioned, a pilot. It was built into the contract that there be a pilot. We would recommend putting the pilot satisfaction specifications into the solicitation, funding only through the pilot period, and therefore if it turns out that they can't deliver the performance or within the cost structure that you specify, then you can just run out the clock and exit with a minimum investment.
So let's just talk a little bit about why, we've heard here the keynotes about S4HANA, everyone's got questions, and you are the case study. Why to go to Simple Finance 2.0? Why make this route for Florida Crystals?
So as a reminder of my story back in HANA, is we are not a development shop, so we rely on SAP for our IT solutions and innovation and feature functions. So that requires us to keep up with new releases. So when we do that, what we want to do is to leverage the faster we can get live with the newer technology, the advantage we can get, the innovation that we would have, and the feature function we need to run our business. Because I truly have no development shop. So that makes us want to get there first, right? So that we can get the time to benefit becomes that much faster.
With Lumira, we got about 30 seconds, but what's the sort of training that you think is needed for that? I know it's supposed to be a self-service analytics tool. What sort of expertise are you looking for people to use that?
Your front line can use it to your heavy IT user. It's like every business objects tool though, you got to have the use case, and you got to realize it's a very good visualization tool right now for about 3 to 5 key figures at one point, but the ability to visually tell a story when we're in this world where we have to tell it fast, that's what you need, and your frontline guy can do it.
Do you feel like you are poised for, as we're hearing more about S4HANA, Suite on HANA, do you feel like you're poised now to take advantage of some of these things, maybe a little bit quicker?
Sure, because I think anytime you try and carry customizations through a technology transformation or upgrade path, it's an anchor that you've got to drag around with you. So the cleaner, the more standard we are, the simpler it is, the easier it is, and the less work it takes to adopt new technologies. That's why I say, and I did invent this, not SAP.
Yeah.
Complexity is the enemy of agility. And so I want to simplify, simplify, because the pace at which technology is changing, I want to take advantage of those technology innovations without having to just stand off and say, I wish I could, but it'd be too much work.
So this year's experience on the show floor and at this show is decidedly different from the first time you set foot in this conference hall. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. The first time was about 11 years ago. 2004, we were exhibiting for the first time. We were a startup out of a garage, and this was our big breakout. We were going to come and take over the world at the ASUG annual conference. And we come here and our booth didn't show up. And we had a customer lined up to speak on our behalf and talk about our product. But fortunately, with the event organizers and ASUG, you had a just-in-time booth rental. I could rent a booth there. We ran to Kinko's, got the graphics printed, and we were set up in no time. And it was an outstanding event. We got the customer presentation. We got lots of people come by our booth, but now it's very different. It's a much bigger booth we have, and it's always our best event of the year. We get a lot of customers show up there, talking to other customers, telling them about our products and how they're being successful with Wind Shuttle.
So Eric, maybe I'll kick the next one to you. With all this, vertical manufacturing experience that Greg just mentioned, how is that, coming actually to SAP customers? How's that all experienced?
Great question, and it's one that we get asked a lot. And the fact that we are so large is kind of a little known fact. But the fact that we are actually playing in so many different varied industries, that's one of the things that we actually really leverage a lot to really differentiate ourselves in the market in terms of really building unique intellectual property that we can really kind of take to the SAP market. And so as we kind of bring that home, the different industries that we play in, be it consumer products, high tech, engineering, construction, all the various industry segments, we take that knowledge and know-how and we leverage the SAP Foundation as building blocks, and what we do is start to build out purpose-built industry verticalized solutions. And so that's quite a mouthful, but really at the end of the day is what we're trying to do is build real-world solutions for real customers.
We're talking about moving to success factors, which is a big topic right now, especially you guys are doing Employee Central, correct?
Correct.
So what prompted to move to success factors?
Well, it was part of a larger project at the district, so the plan was to implement SAP for our ERP, and then that natural progression was what we were going to do with our HR system. We were on PeopleSoft at the time, so we needed to make a decision what we were going to do, and the decision was made that we would be going to an SAP product, and then at that point we had an opportunity to choose between the HCM and the cloud.
So let's talk about the system scan. I know that's a big new offering. Can you give us a little sneak peek of what that is?
Sure. Our system scan is a free service that we offer that performs over 300,000 business and technical checks in your SAP landscape, more than any other scanning tool out there. And this is a key way to, number one, identify show-stopping risks early and learn things about the project that you never knew that typically may take months of analysis. We're able to accomplish that in a free scan. We were doing a project for an energy company one time, and they were very adamant of what they wanted done. They knew they wanted to move part of this organization into a new system. Fine. Please run the scan. They run the scan, and we tell them, guess what? That organization that you thought was here is really not. It's somewhere else, and what you want to do, you can't do now. And these are people that use that system every day, and they're still not aware of it at that level. Automated scanning, our automated system scan, can uncover those risks early, help you plan and scope a project definitively, and answer all those unknown questions right away.
One of the things I know we had talked about was mobile device management policy.
Yes.
How critical is that?
That's extremely critical, and that's something that Lincoln had to work its way through. We had been experimenting with a couple of tools, but then the mobility project actually forced us to get serious about policies, about how we wanted to manage mobile devices. We determined early on that we weren't going to allow people to bring their own devices. That's kind of an anathema to our firm.
Actually. That's a little bit different than most people.
Well, I don't know, it's interesting. When I did the research for the strategy, that's all the pundits were talking about, that very soon everybody's going to bring their own device.
Right.
I think what we've seen though is that's slowed down in a lot of places, and Lincoln's very security conscious, so they did not want devices on their network that weren't Lincoln devices. And so that's been our approach, and we will reevaluate that at some point, but for right now, it works for us.
Aligning to the business more strongly is very important, because sometimes HR is on its own out there. So if someone wants to get into HR analytics, how do they do it? I guess each of you could answer that one, I guess.
The strongest piece of advice that I could give to young HR professionals is to rotate out of HR, out of the function, into the business and experience that for a while, and then rotate back with those knowledge and skills and abilities. One of the biggest barriers is that we in HR don't have that comfort level with analytics and data and metrics, and some of the, in the book that I wrote, Data Driven, we use some pretty advanced statistics and algorithms and things like that to prove the value of learning and different enablement interventions. And having those advanced, almost mathematical degrees are really important, and it can be quite intimidating for people who have been in HR for a really long time.
How did you feel the rollout went? Was it pretty smooth? Because SAP clearly is behind Fiori, screen personas. They definitely want people to uptake it. Mm-hmm. How did that go out, the rollout, and where did you guys actually specifically implement?
So then we targeted to do a rollout. We thought, okay, it will be a long journey, so let's split out the users into different groups. And we go target those users and go live on that, and then next sprint we target the other users like that. So we had started with the first thing with the top executives. We put up 3 Fiori apps for them. They can start, they can use it from your mobile phone or a tablet or a desktop. So that's the first rollout. The second rollout, we are targeting the casual users, which are the design engineers. Mm-hmm. And there we like big audience, and that's where we are using the Fiori and Persona combinations, because some of the applications are not available in Fiori. So we thought, okay, let's use the standard SAP, modify with the Persona, and start from there. And we are targeted to go live in 3-4 weeks.
That's great. Sounds like for those kind of like me who don't know the ins and outs of automated testing, can you give us, just kind of why these are critical to actually achieving success with these big projects?
Sure. One of the things that was really interesting to me when I started doing this was that the testing phases were the longest phases. You'd think that construction was, but it's really about test. So anything that you can do to shrink that cycle but not add risk to the project is really important. Mm-hmm. Test automation is key. It really allows us to do more with less. It allows the automation to drive the complex scenarios, and allows the tester or the business SME to really focus on areas of complexity or where something broke after running the test automation.
Absolutely, and you must discover a lot of interesting things when you're going through this.
Yeah, absolutely. We try to do everything we can to break things, right, so that we're catching those things before the users do.
I still think there's, people need to, get to know the HANA Cloud Platform a little bit better. I actually wrote an article for ASUGNews comparing HEC versus HCP, and it's one of our most heavily trafficked. Mm-hmm. Do you think that people are starting to get that message, Ken, that the HANA Cloud Platform, what they can actually do with it?
Yeah, so I definitely think that as we introduce HANA Cloud Platform a lot more aggressively to our customers, and actually seeing the customer response, we're getting SAP internally and our customer audience is getting better understanding in terms of how to apply the HANA Cloud Platform, platform as a service technology from SAP to really change and transform the business. As I think this is part of the product announcement news that we released this morning as well. With HANA Cloud Platform, we're adding some very great capabilities, right? Very specifically, if you think about the purpose of HANA Cloud Platform, it's really enabling customers or ISP to build what we call native SaaS applications, right? That's one type of use cases. An application that runs independently in the cloud. Absolutely, we see a lot of customers and ISP deploy that kind of HANA Cloud Platform for that scenario. The second use case is really using HANA Cloud Platform to build what we call extension applications. Right, extension of the SuccessFactor ACR solution set, extension of core business suite, the classic business suite, or even S4 on HANA, right? Or building that composite extension of experiences across, let's say, potentially competitive solutions like Salesforce.com.
Right.
You know, with SuccessFactors integration, with maybe Ariba, Concur, and Business Suite. We're seeing a lot of ISVs and SAP customer alike using HANA Cloud Platform to build that very personalized and customer extensions. I think the third use case of the HANA Cloud Platform that we're seeing from the customer, 1,300 some customers now in Q1 2015, are what we call, they're looking to leverage our platform as a service to create the enterprise agility layer, right? To deliver that very personalized, very intuitive, I would say mobile first user experience, right? Kind of very responsive, but the workload is tailored very specifically to my role, what I do. Not necessarily to, I'm a sales rep, for example, needing to learning for applications, right? Some part of it is Microsoft Outlook or Office, some part of it could be CRM, C4C, some part of it could be a third-party contract management, how to actually deliver that very integrated experiences directly on the mobile. And deliver that in days and weeks, not necessarily months and years, right? So we're kind of seeing that really a great adoption of the platform as a service technology.
So, I really appreciate you coming on and talking, and good luck with the rest of the playoffs, and I'm sure that you'll do great. I've seen the site and I enjoy it.
So you want my Stanley Cup prediction?
Yes.
I think Blackhawks over Rangers in 6 games.
All right, that'll make a lot of the people on our crew very happy. So.
All right.
All right, thanks for coming on.
That's great.